Okay, go slow to go fasters. Before we dive in, I want to share a few things that might completely change how you look at your closet. Right now, heading into 2026, did you know that less than 30% of clothing globally is made from natural fibers? And I'm talking cotton, linen, wool, hemp, or silk. I'm wearing a merino wool turtleneck that I've had for at least 10 years. And these don't go out of style. It's wool. It's a natural fiber. You can find them in Goodwill. You just have to know how to launder them if they have any kind of smells or stains, or you have to know how to do small repairs if they have any holes or rips. But generally speaking, if you can find something in your size and it's a natural fiber, that's a win-win. So definitely try it on. Make sure it's comfortable. But it's worth it to start to replace some items in your closet that you're no longer using or don't make you feel good or don't bring you joy. And then consider upcycling items. That means that over 70% of whatever we're wearing daily is synthetic. Materials like polyester, nylon, acrylic, and spandex. Here's why that matters. Synthetic fibers are essentially plastics. They don't breathe, they trap heat, and they can interfere with how our bodies regulate temperature, moisture, and even stress. And for those of you out there, ladies of a certain age, middle years, going through perimenopause or menopause, you definitely don't want to have to deal with sweating and then having any kind of absorption of unnatural fibers going into your lymphatic system if you can avoid it. We definitely don't need to add to our stress. So materials like nylon and polyester, they don't allow the skin to release heat efficiently, which keeps the body in low-grade stress response, especially for intimate wear or daily basics. Spandex and elastane, while stretchy and convenient, and I have a few because I've checked my drawers, my intimates mostly are made out of these materials, so I have work to do myself. They can restrict your lymphatic flow, and when worn tightly for long periods of time, which is why I never want to wear them when I'm home or at night. I don't wear anything like that to bed. I'm never wearing my bras at night. As soon as I come home, I take those off. And obviously there's a reason. That matters because our lymphatic system plays a huge role in detoxification and immune health. And when our bodies are constantly trying to regulate around what we're wearing, our nervous system notices, even if our minds don't. That's why this conversation is so important. It's not about shame. It's not about throwing everything away. It's about awareness. It's about those small, informed shifts like choosing natural fibers when possible, swapping clothes in community, or repairing instead of replacing. It can really support your body and your well-being over time. If this conversation resonates with you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need a little gentle reset, a little detox in their closet right now. Make sure you watch till the end so you can get more tips and tricks on how to make sure this happens for you and how you can upcycle your life and detox your closet. So, Courtney, I want to thank you for being here with me today and sitting down and having a conversation. But before we get into your background, do you mind sharing with our listeners and our viewers on YouTube how you're going slow these days?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for one thing, I live in the jungle right now. So I feel like everything is slow, and it is actually purposeful. When I was living in California, I got addicted to Amazon, and it was wonderfully horrible. I mean, I was ordering 3 things a day, groceries, everything, absolutely everything. And the buildup of boxes in my yard. Moving to Tulum, I actually have no access to the mail at all. And so that has slowed down my buying of everything, clothing, fashion. It was sort of a purposeful like blockade to
Mm-hmm.
solve that addiction. And it has actually revolutionized how I do everything. So
Mm.
it's been really cool.
So you've built a life in the last, it sounds like you've been living in the jungle for about 3 years now. So
Yeah.
it's been a process, but now you feel you've pretty much gotten used to that lifestyle where you're off grid almost, or you are. Are you like completely off grid? Like how remote are you?
Well, the closest town is about 15 minutes away, so it's not bad. It's not
Mm-hmm.
bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I live down a jungle
Mm-hmm.
road, about 5 minutes in, and I have
Mm-hmm.
one neighbor, and I'm really grateful for that. Most people
Mm-hmm.
live in like, even if there are jungle areas, they're like complexes. But I actually chose
Mm-hmm.
to be, I don't know, to really, really kind of take it back. And I hand wash. I don't even have a washing machine, so I hand wash everything, put it on the line. I decided to opt out of plastic containers, so I have jars, and even they are upcycled.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been really a fascinating kind of retraining from all of the modern conveniences
Mm-hmm.
that I've really appreciated.
Yeah, and with your background in the industry that you've come from, do you mind just kind of giving our listeners and viewers a little bit of a idea of what kind of led you to want to go off grid and live in the jungle? Kind of take us back to the beginning.
Yeah. So pre-pandemic, I was in Los Angeles and I launched my brand, Holding Court, which is a sustainable and ethical brand. And I was doing it very traditional, where you make, a surplus of as much as you can afford. So hundreds of t-shirts, hundreds of joggers, sports bras. I wanted to make sort of your everyday wear and make it sustainable and lovely and soft and use Tencel.
Mm-hmm.
Come the pandemic, I ended up getting displaced. We were renting and then they wanted their house back and then everything wasn't affordable. Like it was just a frenzy in California. So I ended up living in an Airstream.
Mm-hmm.
So to
Okay.
grow a clothing business from an Airstream, I quickly realized that there was no way for me to have surplus inventory because there was nowhere to put
Yeah.
it. And
Right.
we're moving. So little by little, I started to change my model from inventory to made to order.
Mm-hmm.
Now it was becoming even more sustainable, and that there isn't even just a backlog of things, which I still have to this day, by the way. I'm still trying to offload these t-shirts that are beautiful and tank tops that are
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. But now it's so much easier to have someone makes an order, and I'm still using sustainable silks. I'm using Ecotech certified. I'm using natural fibers. Obviously, well, not obviously, but no toxic dyes. And now if someone places an order online, then it's made for them directly at that time in Mexico.
Mm, I love that. Yeah, and as I was, excuse me, as I was preparing to have our conversation today, I was thinking about all the things in my closet and how easy it's been probably in the last, I don't know, at least 10 years where we could go on, like you said, we can go on Amazon, we can find exactly what we're looking for or maybe a version of that. And if we're not doing our research, we really aren't thinking about what we're buying. We're just maybe buying it for the form or the function.
Mhm.
But you're going to you take it a step further and provide to the consumer fabric friendly, ecosystem friendly materials, which is amazing because that's what me as a consumer, that's what I would want. That's kind of my choice in lifestyle. But am I really doing the research every time I buy a product? No. So it's nice to hear that you're providing that. But for the viewers and listeners out there, what would be some things to look for if you're looking at a label when you're purchasing a product? If you do want to be conscious of all those things.
Yeah, of course. So, well, the majority of everything that's made with from Shein, or you're going to find it on Amazon, which actually is selling Shein, by the way. It's the same exact makers and the same exact supply chain. Now it's just
Mm,
on Amazon and it can get to you the next day, which is insanity.
mm-hmm,
First of all, don't buy anything made out of polyester. Just
mm-hmm.
don't. Just don't do it. Your body doesn't like it. The environment doesn't like it. It has nowhere to go. It's ending up on the beaches of Africa. It's ending up on the mountaintops of Chile. So, some of the things that you want to look out for, I mean, the reasons that you don't want to buy polyester, there's pretty unregulated. To even dye polyester, you can only use synthetic dyes. And these dyes have all sorts of nasty things, proven carcinogens. The things that make polyester malleable are also carcinogens. And they also have phthalates. And yeah, they're just horrible for your endocrine system, your
Mm.
hormonal system. Your skin absorbs about 30 to 60% of what you put on it. So a lot of the times you don't associate what you wear with a toxic overload. Um, but it's something that's kind of
Oh.
sneaky. It sneaks up on you,
Mhm.
and it's an accumulation. So it's more like if you already have a sickness and you
Mhm.
are wearing this polyester in bed, you're actually going to take longer to recover from it, or
Mm.
it might be enough to like push you into a chronic state.
Mm.
So don't buy
Yeah, 'cause
polyester. Yeah.
yeah, 'cause, I mean, I'm somebody that I mean, growing up, my mom is all into holistic medicine and lifestyle, and she's a retired nurse, and she's probably listening out there going, "I've told you all this time that you shouldn't be buying anything but cotton." But it's hard to find 100% cotton. You really have to know where to look and the suppliers to buy from. Because even I feel like I'm somebody that would know what to look for in feeling a fabric, but I looked in my closet, like I said today, and I was thinking, oh, this has got to be 100% cotton. I'm pretty sure. No, looked at the label. It wasn't. It has probably 60% cotton, some sort of label where it said 100%. It was 100% recyclable other materials. And then it said 60% cotton. So it really doesn't make sense when you look at some of the labels anyway, but it wasn't 100% cotton. It wasn't even uh, enough that would feel comfortable. So even when you're buying materials that you think are cotton, if you don't look at the labels, you just don't know what you're getting.
Yeah. And some of the manufacturers, okay, so for example, when I was making my basics line and I bought fabric that was made of Tencel, I was told that they could get the stamp of the Tencel, sustainable empire if they only used 33% of Tencel in
Hmm.
the whole composition. And that was shocking to me
Mm,
because it's like calling an organic fruit organic when, we only just sprayed it once. We just sprayed it once.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
there's very little regulation. And so
Regulation.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's something that we see.
Okay.
But if you were to go, okay, it's time to go shopping.
Yes.
Let's put some advice out there.
Hmm.
There are
We need to know.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. So first of all, the most important things that you should buy that need to be organic cotton um or hemp or, something that's
Hmm.
organic and clean,
Natural
natural
fibers and
fibers
clean. Hmm. Okay.
are your intimates because they are up against your lymphatic system.
Mm,
So that 30 to 60% permeability, it's 60% in your intimate zones. So
mm.
do it for those
Yeah, where
areas.
you're going to absorb
Yeah, where you're
those
going to absorb
chemicals.
the toxins. And then from there, your t-shirts, your basics really should be. If you're going to buy new, buy organic.
Mhm,
But at this
mhm,
point, if you're going to buy, a really nice pair of jeans, like you can buy that secondhand. So
mhm,
get out of the fast fashion economy by
mhm,
going back into upcycling and buying secondhand. I call it assisting the planet. So
mhm,
A, what do you already have? S, secondhand. S, swap with your friends. I, shop indie. So that's going to be your undergarments. Just go ahead and buy it from buy something nice for yourself. Treat yourself.
mm, mhm.
Yes. So, I mean, you can sew something. You can learn to sew. It's not that bad. Okay.
Mhm.
Or T, shop traditional. So you're not buying things that you only wear once, you know. And it's okay to have some of those special occasion outfits, but a lot of the times you can find them secondhand or you can trade with someone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. That's so
Assist.
true. Yeah, and it's not you don't have to just go to Goodwill to find a cool outfit for a theme party. Like, you could start thinking about going to Goodwill or a secondhand store or, a consignment store for the majority of your wardrobe if you really get into it. But I like the idea of you saying, because there's some people out there that are like, oh my gosh, I got to go look at my labels right now. And I don't want to throw everything out because I don't have the budget to do that. But I like that you say, go ahead and think about purchasing all your intimate clothing, making sure those are made out of organic materials first. And then you can kind of go from there.
Yeah, you can build from there. And look, it's hard to find a rainproof parka for the winter that doesn't
Sure.
have some kind of plastic in it. So
Yeah.
at least having your long sleeves, you know, what you're wearing underneath, organic or wool,
Mm-hmm.
that's a safe bet for your body.
Okay.
For the environment, it's a little bit trickier because when you wash it, then the microplastics are going out there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good step though.
Yeah, but it is. It sounds like that's a good first step if somebody's interested in looking at their wardrobe from their drawer full of bras and underwear and socks and all those things first. And then you can go from there and look at those bigger items. But I think that's a great first step. So when you do look at those labels and you start getting a better idea of what's out there, I like that you've shared like 100% cotton, hemp. There are some organic materials to be looking for, but anything polyester you want to stay away from for sure. Is there any other like materials that maybe people don't know? Like usually when you're looking at food labels, if you can't pronounce it, you probably don't want to eat it. Is there anything that would be kind of good to stay away from or any kind of lingo that we need to be aware of?
Clothing labels don't have all the lingo on there yet. Eventually they will. There's some regulations
Mm,
that are happening, which I'm really, really happy about.
mm,
But if you were to grade fabrics from like A fabrics to F fabrics, if you're looking at the
mhm,
F, nylon, not great.
mhm. Okay.
This is going to make a lot of the vegans unhappy, but fake leather.
Okay. Yeah. Leather.
Also, yeah. And then leather in general, not great. I mean, there's so many new fun alternatives to look at: cactus leather, pineapple
Mm,
leather, coconut leather. There's all sorts of like amazing technologies that are changing that. But you know, traditional leather is actually very, 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 very harmful. It's tanned with heavy, heavy metals.
mm,
And that's why a lot of it doesn't happen in the States anymore because
okay.
it's pretty bad.
But that's good to know there are alternatives. I had no idea there was cactus and coconut leather. That's
Oh
awesome.
my gosh, mushroom leather. Some of them look
Oh
like
my
real,
god.
yeah, some of them look like the real deals. And you
Okay.
wouldn't know the difference.
No, I'm gonna have to do a deep dive now. Okay. Huh. There was something else that you brought up that I want to know more about. If somebody wanted to think about altering an outfit that they find or like, something that they find in a secondhand store. One of my grandmothers, she's passed on, but she was a seamstress. And we were always able to just basically, we had the luxury of being able to say, Grandma, can you alter this for me? Or is there anything you can do with this? Or can you make me a dress for prom? Even that was just crazy that I
That's
had that in my experience.
amazing.
Yes, but not everybody does. So if you don't have a seamstress in your family or you don't have those skills yourself, there are ways that you can get around that. Like hire somebody. There are people out there that do that for a living and that will alter garments for you. I know you can go to a dry cleaning place, at least in the larger cities, and get things hemmed or taken in or taken out. But are there other, like, do you have, we can't just all download ways to sew right away, but these days anybody can go on YouTube and learn a skill. So there are ways that you can learn how to sew and kind of try it out. I'm an aspiring sewer. I know how to hem a little bit. I can make curtains. That's about it for me.
Straight lines.
Exactly. You start slow, right? Go slow to go fast. And I have down the road from me, I have master gardeners and I have seamstresses that are designing clothing for like all kinds of cool things out there. And they do sewing classes at the local art guild that we have in our little community in the middle of nowhere in Tennessee. So I would suggest, just to our listeners and viewers out there to look at your local resources and, do some research and see if there's somebody out there either teaching classes on ways to naturally dye fabric and or create, things to wear out of natural fabric or whatever fabric you want to purchase. But, we're here, of course, talking about natural materials. So there's ways that you can kind of think outside of the box if you're not used to that. But like you shared, Courtney, you were living in LA, you were buying from Amazon and having things sent to your house on a daily basis. So, and you've made a change. So we can all kind of take stock into like what we're doing on a daily basis and make a change. Doesn't have to be as drastic as moving to another country, but it can be. We can make a change and do a different thing, and it's okay. But what would be some other ideas that you have as you've kind of explored this industry that might be helpful for the listeners and viewers out there?
You know, speaking of local and with community, the last couple of months since I've finished my book tour, one of the most
Mhm.
fun things that we've been doing here is having potlucks and clothing swaps at the same time.
I love that.
Yeah. So, and everyone's a little bit of a different size, different height. They bring different things, hats and shoes and things like that. But it's
Mhm.
actually kind of this amazing discovery moment because if you do end up taking something home that was someone else's, they end up telling you a story about the piece. Like, oh, yeah, I
Mhm.
got this at such and I wore it here. And it's this cool way to even meet new people and kind
Mhm.
of connect with your friends on a whole different level. I found that to be
That is so
really
true.
fun.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, go into your closet this week, people, and look through and see if you have a couple of items that you don't mind giving away. You're ready to let go. And maybe even instead of a potluck, have a, you know, I don't know, come up with some new phrase of coming together and swapping out items from your closet. I think that's a great idea. But I like your idea of adding a potluck to it because then you can share recipes too.
Yeah, that was for anyone who didn't have something to trade and who wanted to come. They're like, well, my
Yeah.
closet's pretty tight now. I love my closet. Don't want to change anything, but I want to come. Can I
Mhm.
bring like a guacamole?
Absolutely, or some type of dip that you haven't heard of before. Maybe from your garden, you have some fresh salsa that you make that's awesome too. So, yeah, I love that. Okay. So, you've given me some inspiration because I'm planning on cleaning out my closet again. I usually go through it at least maybe every other month thinking of things that I can give away. But now I got to start looking at labels too. It's not just, that maybe that what doesn't fit me anymore or what I haven't worn in a year, but I also need to look at what's not good for my skin. Mm,
Yeah. And
okay.
also speaking of gardens, a lot of the plants in your own backyard can change the color of your fabric. So you can do natural dye baths just with what like leftover avocado seeds and peels makes the most
Mm,
beautiful pink. You would never believe it.
really? What?
Onion skins, not even the red ones, but the yellow ones make this like
Huh?
beautiful yellow, this like very rich yellow. And that's something that's a waste product. And maybe you're bored or you have a little stain on a white t-shirt that you just, can't fix. So
Right.
now you have this fun experiment of using natural dyes, and it's really really easy actually. Like first you just soak the garment in a bath with the vinegar, so it opens it
Yes.
up,
Okay.
and then you wring it out. And in the meantime, you're boiling whatever plants that you've picked, and you can pick tree bark, you can pick leaves. I've gone on walks in my neighborhood and just picked flowers that were blooming and just like, well, what can this do? What'll this do? What will this do? And it's this
Mhm.
experiment.
Mm.
And then you wrap up the fabric. You can either wrap it so it'll make like a tie dye, which can be fun. Or
Yes,
you just drop
that
it
is.
directly in and kind of stir it. And if you leave it overnight, then it really
Mhm.
enriches the color.
That's awesome. Okay. So, and it really is an experimentation. You've gotta, kinda see, like, what type of color you want, the variation, and just go from there. But I like the idea of taking a white T-shirt that you thought you wouldn't be able to wear again and just repurposing it with a different color. Okay. And a natural dye is even better if it comes from your garden. So I'm going to have to think about, and if you're a composter, you probably have that kind of on hand, like onion peels and avocado seeds. But if you're not a composter, but you've got a garden, then you've got that resource in your backyard. You just haven't probably thought about using it in a different way. So that's a great idea. I'm writing all this down. And speaking of your book, do you have any of these tips and tricks in your book, or are you working on something else?
Absolutely. Refashion
Yeah.
Workshop has every chapter has an action that you can take, a quiz that you can take. It's a workbook. So the point is for it to be very, very engaging. And it's also tied in with some really, really cool things that I learned from a Yale course that's called The Science of Well-Being. And you would actually love this class. It's by Laurie Santos, and it ties so much research to slowing down your lifestyle and that will
Mm,
actually increase your happiness. It's cool. It's really, really cool.
yeah. Yes. And I've heard about the theory of happiness, and I know there's a lot of data behind it. So I'm wondering if there's a link to that course as well. So I'm going to have to do a deep dive on that. Thank you. Lori Santos. Okay. So with your refashion workshop, I'll make sure all that information's in the show notes for anybody who wants to purchase your book. But knowing that it's a workbook and every chapter has a different way to embrace the resources that you have, and maybe you haven't thought about how you can sustain a more healthy lifestyle around fabrics that are better for you and materials. What's your plan for next steps? Do you have any workshops coming out, or are you doing any more speaking engagements? Like, what's next for you?
Yeah. So this is actually really, really exciting. I'm going to London Fashion Week in a couple weeks, and
Ooh.
I've been invited to, well, for one, walk a runway, which is just a dream come true. But also, I'm going to be on a panel, and I'll be talking about some of the science of happiness and some of really it's about tying in stewardship of the planet and stewardship of the earth to increasing your happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, in this case, I'm doing the angle of sustainability in fashion, but
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a really awesome and exciting panel at the Tower of London.
That is awesome. Wow. That is gonna be so cool. I'm excited for people to hear about, what you bring to the table too, because I think we need to hear more about the sustainability in fashion. So I think that's awesome. That is great. And I'm so excited for you. That's gonna be a great experience. And you get to walk a catwalk. How cool is that? My gosh.
Uh,
In London at Fashion Week. That is amazing. So what else do you want to share with the listeners and viewers that you think that we need to know? Because I'm sure there's just so much.
yeah, there is a lot. After my book tour earlier this summer, I walked away with this sense that there's so much bad news when it comes to all the
Mm,
toxins. You're like, oh my gosh, PFAS, BPAs. Okay, this is horrible. What can I do right
mhm,
other than just not wearing polyester because PFAS are in cotton? So you don't
mhm,
know. You could be still buying cotton and wearing, a hormone disruptor.
mm,
It's there's not enough information out there. So
okay.
I put together a detox protocol for forever chemicals and for, chemicals that you'll find in your fabrics. And this is based on what I learned in Ayurveda. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner, so
Mm,
it's the holistic medicine from India that treats
mhm,
the body before something becomes chronic. So it's actually about
Mm,
keeping yourself healthy versus like Western medicine, which is treating disease.
yes.
So, some of the things that you can do just right now to make sure that you don't get the toxic accumulation, and this is going to sound very simple, but it's very practical. Um,
Mm,
one, make sure that you sweat every day because your body already
mhm,
knows what to do. It already knows that if you have a foreign invader, it wants it out. And one of the fastest ways that you can do that is to sweat it out. So,
mm,
sweat in Ayurveda, you're
yes.
supposed to sweat for 20 minutes every day, but you can always just
Yeah.
take a really, really hot shower and just work up a sweat in there, and then you can just rinse it right off. That's
Mm.
a quick go-to.
And
Another
so
Yeah,
I'm thinking you probably don't wanna wear any kind of I mean, deodorant versus antiperspirant, that that's something that if people aren't thinking about that, you can't necessarily sweat everything out if you're blocking it.
exactly. You shouldn't be wearing antiperspirant. It's not what your body is built and designed to do.
Yeah, so sweat at least 20 minutes a day. Good to know.
Another
Okay.
one is to seal your body with an oil barrier.
Mm,
So that
okay.
before you put your clothes on, so like say you just sweat after the shower, now you're clean. You want to pick an oil that actually has a large molecule, like a castor oil or a coconut oil, and
Okay.
cover your body. And that's actually going to keep even air pollution from getting into your skin. It's not perfect, but it at least creates a barrier for you to start
Mhm.
your day and protect yourself.
Mm, okay, that's good to know too. Okay. I think, there might be an additional couple of steps in your routine, but I mean, it's something that I could probably build in 10 minutes because I'm going to be sweating because I'm going through menopause right now, so I'm probably like in between I'm like right in it. So sweating not a problem for me, but those of you out there that might need to work up a sweat, we just need to make sure that we do it for 20 minutes and then take care of, whatever you need to do with the oil barrier. I love this. Okay. Anything else that you think would be great for listeners and viewers?
Yeah, well, if you want the full detox protocol, it's on the website refashionworkshop.com.
Okay.
And that's a follow up PDF that is, I mean, it's full of recipes and what you should be eating to help break down. Like you
Mm,
can actually break down microplastics in your body by eating oyster mushrooms. So,
mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a lot of
Okay.
information in there.
Wow. Okay. That's good to know because, I'm thinking proactive versus reactive, but you may have some toxins. Most of us probably do have toxins in our body from many different, you know,
Multiple
ways of,
sources. Yeah.
yeah, many different sources in the environment. So we've got to think about what we can put in our body to get rid of that. So that's good to know. Okay. Well, I'm going to be checking that out today as well. So I'll make sure all that's in the show notes, guys. You've given me a lot to think about. I want to edit my closet like right after this show, but I got to go slow to go fast. I can't do it all at once. So just one step at a time. I'm thinking about just little things like if you're using, we had like an exterminator come out to our house because we have a bee problem and you probably need to be mindful of like what the exterminator's using, like the little things like that. It's just all the things that we just don't think about,
Yeah.
especially if it's around your garden.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's sort of what
Mm,
the detox protocol is to prevent the toxic accumulation. So
mhm.
I think
Yeah.
everyday little steps that will help you to process it out as quickly as possible, including
Mhm.
adding Atlantic sea salt to your water actually helps
Mm,
hydrate you and it actually helps with chelation too. That's something that you should be
okay.
doing every day.
That's good to know. All right.
I know. What does sea
All
salt have
right.
to do with sustainable fashion? What?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think our body is majority water, but if we're not absorbing it correctly, yeah, we've got to make sure that we're doing all the things. Yeah, sea salt. Okay. So Atlantic sea salt. Is that what you said? No.
Yeah, Atlantic.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So I would say solving the fast fashion crisis.
Mm. Mhm.
Slow down, assist the planet when you buy new clothes. So,
Mhm.
what do you already have? Swap, sew, buy indie, shop secondhand, and shop traditional. And then in the meantime, as the corporate giants and the government do a little regulation so we know what we're buying, just make sure that it's not accumulating in your body.
Right. And then, check out Courtney's recipes and a couple of other tips and her book for more ideas on how to do what you can for your body and the planet. I think that's great advice. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're
And
welcome.
I'm so excited for you going over to London. That's going to be an amazing time.
Yeah,
You'll have to send an update on how it went. If you're on Are you on Instagram? You're on all the social media?
of course, at Courtney Barriger, at Refashion Workshop, and at Holding Court Inc. So those are my three.
Okay. All right. So you guys can follow her journey and keep up with Courtney as she goes through all these adventures. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and your message.
Thank you for having me.
As we close out today's episode, I want to invite you to just notice what stayed with you today after listening in on my conversation with Courtney. Maybe it was the idea of consuming less, not from restriction, but from presence. Maybe it was learning how fabrics actually touch our skin and influence our health more than we realize. Or maybe it was just the gentle reminder that community, clothing swaps, and shared meals together is about collective care. It's part of our healing too. A slow fashion reset doesn't require a full closet overhaul. I'm not by any means saying to go get rid of all of your clothes that don't have 100% natural fibers. It needs to start small. So, one label at a time, one garment at a time, start to realize whether or not, if you love it, keep it in your closet. If you're not wearing it and it's not 100% natural fibers, then that's a good reason to say thank you and let it go. One repair instead of a replacement. You can repair things instead of replacing them. You can take it to a local dry cleaning business and they will mend quite a few garments. Or you can go on YouTube and learn how to do that if it's a very small repair. It's just one intentional choice, one gathering that brings people together instead of buying more things. Consider upcycling. And this is all the heart of Go Slow to Go Fast, letting alignment lead so urgency doesn't have to. And as we move through 2026, I hope this podcast encourages you to see your daily choices, what you wear, how you care for yourself, and how you show up in your community as part of a larger, more holistic rhythm of living. Thank you for being here, and thank you for choosing a more slower, intentional way of living. Until next time, remember the light in me honors the light in you. And as you head into the rest of your week, let your light shine through. And don't forget, go slow to go fast. And thanks for listening.